21st Century Entrepreneurship with Martin Piskarik.
There's a lot of scams to watch out for in the Forex market. I would say firstly, people will use the term Forex trading because it quite often is seen as a flashy, quick and easy way to make money quickly. So people may say they're doing Forex trading and there may be no proof of it. So I think your first part of call is prove that the trading is happening. My company, for example, we use a third-party verified website called MyFXBook, which verifies and proves all of that. So get your proof of trading. Secondly, it gets even trickier because some people could give you proof of trading, but it could actually just be on a non-regulated broker. So that broker could be actually just making up those trades, pretending that those trades have happened to draw capital into that broker, which could then be given to that company who is saying they're doing the trading, or shared in that way. So I would say make sure the broker is regulated and the way of depositing and withdrawing is regulated. And then thirdly, also tricky because someone could give you proof of trading and it could be on a regulated broker, but they could be using a very dangerous style of trading, which you need to be, genned up on and aware of what to look out for to know that it's not a long-term and feasible strategy. For me, in all of my experience and what I've looked at, there's lots of things you can look at, but I would say the simplest and easiest way is to look at the risk to reward ratio of a system. Is the reward that you're getting out of a single trade greater than the risk you're putting in? I mean, some traders can function on like a 1-to-1 risk to reward, like risk 1%, gain 1%, and you can kind of get by, but the real long-term strategies, the good traders, the good systems will have, at least a 1-to-2 risk to reward. That would be kind of a little nugget of wisdom, but there's lots of other ways of looking at it as well. And you've just got to be careful. So at Pulley Trading, what we do is we combat all of those issues which often come up in other companies and opportunities which are scams. And firstly, we give proof of all of our trades, as I touched on a website called MyFXBook. We work with only a regulated broker. They're regulated by ASIC, which is in Australia. They're very fierce when it comes to regulation, and they're regulated in a few other places. And also because of the transparency of showing all of the trades that we've ever done and any trades we will ever do, which you can see on your regulated broker, but also on MyFXBook, you can work out the strategy we're using as well. So you can see that actually we're using a long-term feasible strategy with a good risk to reward. We don't have a large drawdown. We don't trade at a really high regularity. We go for quality over quantity. And that's quite easy to see by our growth curve and our historical drawdown. What is really great as well, when clients kind of work with us and they invest and put their money into our affiliate broker, their money is stored with a company called The Currency Cloud, who are owned by Visa. They're one of the biggest kind of electronic holding companies / banks in the world at the moment, I guess in a sense of how quickly they're growing. And they're FCA regulated, so they're regulated in the UK, they're regulated in Europe, they're regulated in America, they're regulated all over. And I guess I mention that because where your money is being held is obviously of the utmost importance. So when you're talking about having a good night's sleep, we can't take your money, we can't rug pull your money, we can't say your money is there when it isn't there. all that we can do is just deliver the best trading system we possibly can do and make you aware of the risks that come with that, which obviously there's any risks when you're involved in this, but we really hope that obviously the rewards that we kind of give and show over time are much greater than the losses and the risk that have been put in initially.
How does best trading system looks like?
Yeah, I would say it firstly needs to have a good diversification across it. I think a lot of Forex traders, they'll say, oh, I just trade one Forex pair, and that's it. Like I trade British pound to US dollar. But what we know as traders, you have very volatile periods in a particular currency pair or just one asset that you're trading. So what our system does is we trade 8 different currency pairs. And not only that, for every single of the 8 currency pairs that we trade, we have 3 different strategies. We have a continuation strategy that targets upward momentum going with the trend. We have kind of a reverse within a trend strategy where it's starting to change direction and it goes back down with the trend, which works on price action. And we have a third strategy, which is a swing trading style built on harmonic patterns. So not only are we diversifying across so many different currency pairs, we're diversifying across different strategies. So that's 3 strategies times 8 pairs. That's 24 strategies. And because our system is programmed, it's mathematical, it's automated, it's built on statistics, it's running 24/5, obviously closed on the weekend, not 24/7. But it's running for hours and hours. Even when you're sleeping, it's crunching all the data. It's looking at all of those opportunities. And then it's trading very, very selectively. Like at the moment, we're looking at about 7 trades a month only being opened, even with it running 24/5 across an entire month. That's how much it focuses on quality. And I guess for that reason, you can keep your drawdown pretty safe and you can wait and be patient for those nice big trades. Because when we get a big winning trade, we hit anything from 8 to 15% gain in one single trade. Whereas our losing trades, they don't ever lose any more than 2%. So again, talking about that risk to reward and that patience, that's where it comes into it as well.
For all those entrepreneurs that want to learn more about your organization, what is your business model? How do you make money?
Yeah, so we are so adamant about our business model when it comes to not pulling the wool over anyone's eyes, being transparent, being open. We have a very original model. We don't charge any sign-up fee. We don't charge any ongoing maintenance fee. We don't charge or make any money off commission for you signing up to our broker. We actually just ask for our clients to have the lowest commission possible on their own trades. The only way we make money is off a profit split. So if our clients make money, then we make money. If they don't, we don't, not a single penny. So our flagship services, our clients keep 60% of the profit and we keep 40%. We do have kind of negotiations with bigger clients who invest larger amounts of money where we have a different profit split. But we're quite proud of the fact that we're not going to take money off our clients unless they're winning. Obviously, their money is at risk and they're putting that trust in us and putting their money down. But for that reason, we respect that and we want them to know that we're in this together. And if they don't make profit, we don't make profit.
And actually, before delving deeper into Forex, you established a successful global e-commerce consultancy. How did that experience influence your approach to Forex trading?
Well, I would say actually Forex has been more of a even longer term interest for me than e-commerce. I was kind of involved in that and learning and trialing, testing even before e-commerce. But I guess going through building a business from the ground up has strengthened kind of a lots of my views on how best to run a business and how to look after clients and this whole kind of transparency, honesty, working together. I always wanted our clients to feel like they have been looked after. They've not had any nasty surprises and not been charged random fees, and we've done everything by the book. And that's what I kind of wanted to take into pulley trading as well. So if you look up our e-commerce consultancy, RGM tax exemption, we're currently in the top 15 in the whole of the United Kingdom on Trustpilot, in the consultancy category. And we're a 5-star Trustpilot company with hundreds of reviews. So that's our customers kind of, I guess, speaking on our behalf for that. And as I say, that's what I want for pulley trading. I want customers to have such a great experience that even if, money was to be lost on an investment or they had to hold their money longer to make money, they would still feel like they're being looked after. There was no surprises. The communication was always there, which is a really important one. We're going to always be sending out updates to our clients via email. So they're never left in the dark. I think that's super important as well.
And what about you? What about your mindset? What about your daily routine? What about your leadership style?
So, yeah, I would say like historically, I've had an interesting kind of career path. Like I've dabbled in a lot of things. So, I mean, first of all, I was a physiotherapist. I was a qualified physio. That taught me quite kind of stringent, professional healthcare, working with people, getting up very early, doing your kind of job, studying. Then I went into teaching and lecturing science up to a college level. 11 to 18-year-olds, again, quite routine, rigid. I spoke in front of hundreds of people as well, doing assemblies, doing talks. So kind of learnt communication skills and addressing people and motivational talks and all that kind of thing. But when it's come to my entrepreneurship, I've had a very kind of, once I get my teeth into something, I can't really let go of it and I give it my absolute all, to a point in which it's probably driven my wife pretty crazy in the past when, she's seen me like, come on, Reuben, just shake it off, come downstairs, relax for a bit. And I'm, one of those people I really struggle to stop when I get in the zone. And I think that's kind of what has been my routine as far as business. As far as leadership, how I lead a business, I think I'm a very personable guy. I really just love people. I want them to feel appreciated. I want them to feel looked after. So my style has been more trying to hire people off a basis of character and trust, kind of even over qualification. Not fully, obviously, you've got to have some qualification, but prioritizing character and trust over that. So that I know if I bring these people on, they'll be teachable, they'll be humble. And if I look after them and give them the best wage they can, the best care they can, I know they'll give me their best. And it's that kind of mutual thing. And I would say it's actually worked pretty well for the most part. I've had very few issues with staff in my company and companies. And I mean, some people call me a bit crazy for it because at times I've even hired friends and family and they're like, oh, I don't like to mix business like that. But I guess if you've got that mutual trust and that's there, I think that allows kind of a deeper level of kind of functioning in a business than you can often see in other kind of just colder corporate shells, as it were, or structures that form. So that's my style, and I guess it won't be for everyone, but it's worked. It's pretty good for me so far.
You mentioned communication. Your communication to yourself, so your inner communication, your communication with your colleagues, employees, and your communication with your customers. Are there any similarities? What's the style? And especially as you're expert in communication and you did lecturing, etc. So that's very interesting to learn a little bit more about that one.
Yeah, I mean, communication, it's huge, isn't it? I would say communicating with yourself, I think it's about being as teachable and as humble as you can. I'm a firm believer I want to practice what I preach. I have a faith as well, which affects that obviously. And I try to live by that. And I would hate to think that my staff or the people that I work with would think, oh, Reuben's telling me to do something and he doesn't even do it himself. I mean, that's ridiculous. Or he's saying, look after our clients in the business, and he's not even looking after me. So I think, yeah, it does start within yourself, and it starts within that kind of sense of self-reflection, humility, starting from that point. And I guess from that comes hopefully a communication with my staff where they believe what I'm saying and have respect for what I'm saying, because if they do, then it's 90% more likely they'll listen to that and act on that, and it'll be a long-term kind of solution. Whereas if it's like, oh, Reuben's just throwing this stuff out there again, and and I guess that's kind of letting your yes be yes and your no be no as well. Like if I say something's going to happen, that's my word, and it will happen. Whether it was a wrong decision or not at the time, it will happen, and there's no kind of uncertainty. And I think that actually it connects to my teaching days, like when I had the worst behaved classes in the science lab, and I had like 25 16-year-old lads all kind of coming into science. Why am I here, sir? What am I doing? They always worked better in an environment where they knew what they were going to get, even if it wasn't what they wanted to get. They knew if they even spoke a single word while I was talking, they'd have a detention instantly. And it sounds harsh, but when you create a structure like that, people begin to feel safe, and they don't have that kind of sense of what's going to happen next, which often these people can have. I'm talking about kids in this example. It can be anyone, but they often have it in the chaotic home life that they have. Like, what's my mum going to do next? What's my dad going to do next? But it can reflect in anyone's life. Like, what's my spouse going to do next? What's going to happen next here with my life? But they come into a place, hopefully my workplace, and they know what's going to happen, and there's no surprises. And I think it takes a lot more kind of discipline as a leader to stick to that. Because there's times you want to let your guard down. There's times you want to kind of be, I guess, over friendly or maybe over strict, but you try to stick and keep consistent and hope people enjoy that consistency of environment. When I communicate with clients, again, I want them to feel valued. And I think an example is recently I asked my whole staff body to flag up if a client has been with us for a certain period of time and they're about to leave the company. And only just so I can touch base with them and say, thank you so much for just being with us for that time, and not the whole classic, oh, we'll discount you to this price if you stay with us. None of that. Literally just thank you so much that you trusted us, you worked with us, you were there for that time, and it's so sorry to see you go. And if there's anything I can do to help, let me know. And I think it's kind of having the trust in the client as well, that if you are adding value to them, they won't need to be convinced much further, to stay or work with you. And if you are offering them something that they need and you're doing it well, you don't need to sweat and fret over it. So I think that's kind of more my style with clients as well.
Sponsoring Hungary's #1 junior female tennis player is quite an achievement. How did that partnership come about, and what has it meant for you and maybe even for your company, for Pulley Trading?
It's one of my favorite things, I would say, like random things that's come about in my life within the last couple of years. And it was very random. Me and my wife were flying back from Budapest after visiting her parents, where she grew up. And it must have been 1 a.m. in the morning at the airport, like East Midlands Airport in the UK. And we kind of clocked this mum and clearly her daughter with a big tennis bag. And, I turned to my wife and I said, oh, I bet you she's heading to Junior Wimbledon to play, because it was coming up to the grass tennis season. And then I kind of was going to leave it, but I don't know what came over my wife. She was like, oh, I need to run over and speak to them and ask, maybe we could help them, because like I know what it's like in Hungary. People don't necessarily get the best funding support. They don't get the best help. And something just came over and I was like, oh, wow, because it's not actually like her to do that. So I was like, oh, okay. So she kind of bolts over, starts speaking to them in Hungarian, which thankfully she did for me, because my Hungarian's not so good. And they were a bit obviously dazed with it being 1 a.m., but turns out they were actually just really thankful that we spoke to them. And we basically just decided to kind of meet up. Kind of a few days later, she was playing at a Wimbledon warm-up tournament, which was in Nottingham. And we met them and kind of supported and watched her. And she got to, I think, the semi-finals of that tournament. And then I said, well, hey, look, I'm going to be in Wimbledon for the next couple of weeks. For the championship, I network and meet a lot of people there. Let's, make a time to meet, and I'll come and support her. I'll come and support Lutza. So the mum's, massively on board, and we're getting on super well. And then I kind of come to watch her first match. She plays great. She wins it. And then I think she plays a second match and wins it. I'm like, okay, let's sit down and actually get a contract here and give you a sponsorship contract, how we can help you, what you need. And we're like, oh yeah, great, because we're looking to maybe fund an individual coach at this point. And she's only 16 years old at this point, and I guess maybe about 20th in the world, 18 and under, without like a women's world ranking. And she then goes ahead, wins the third round, wins the quarterfinals, wins the semi-finals, and we're literally in the junior Wimbledon final on number one court, one of the biggest courts in the world, in the biggest tournament in the world. It's been televised on BBC. I'm sitting with the family and friends like, how on earth we got here? I don't know. We go for this magical kind of fairy tale run. So what it's kind of meant, I think, is just being able to enjoy helping someone in a different way. We help people in a lot of other ways with our business. We work with a great charity called Hope for Justice, which we can, maybe talk about. But it's just been great that this special relationship. We've been able to travel around the world a bit together. We've gone to the French Open to watch you play, the US Open in New York, in Flushing Meadows, been to Rafael Nadal's academy in Mallorca, been around all places with her. And it's just exciting to be in this time in her life where she's up and coming, and, there's all this excitement and possibility. She's 17 now, and she's already like 700th in the world on the women's tour in any age category. So she's smashing it. But yeah, it's I think it's good to have a bit of variety in your life. And I've always been a massive tennis fan, and I don't want to necessarily say I'm living my dreams through her, but it feels that way a little bit. I think it's very important to to recognize where and when help is needed. I think a lot of people only seem to want to start working with people and helping with them once they've already got a bit of success and a bit of money and a bit of momentum. And the reality is that's when they actually don't need help. So I think it's so important to give that support when it's needed, because at the end of the day, you don't know what the effect and the ripple effect you're going to have on someone's life, because you stepped in at that one point where they needed it the most or needed that support the most. And I think it's one of the most rewarding things I've seen in my life. And we've seen this with just in a short period of working with Lutza in the tennis. And, she's an incredible young lady, but I've seen it time and time again when I was in my teaching career, trying to help the kids who were most vulnerable and were in the most need and going through the most difficult times. It's always the most rewarding. And again, same for staff members and clients that people come up. It's trying to recognize a need and trying to fill it when you can. And, I truly believe when you bless others and you refresh others, you'll be refreshed yourself. And we've talked about humility a lot. I truly believe that the humble will be exalted and they'll be lifted up, if they don't focus on themselves all the time and they're kind of outwardly looking at people. And I think that's been such a big key in my life of trying to kind of maintain that and recognize the importance of that. If you want to find out more about pulley trading and this kind of incredibly exciting journey we're just starting on with our Forex trading kind of algorithm, you can visit us at pulleytrading.com, which is PULI trading.com. We have live Zoom meetings every week at the moment, Thursday, 8 p.m. UK British time. We have proof of all of our results on there. You can see the team, you can see what we're doing, you can see our adverts. It'll give you a really lovely taste of the company, hopefully in our heart and what we're aiming to do. And if you're interested in the e-commerce space as well, the company which I mentioned, RJM Tax Exemption, you can find us as well online on our website, rjmtaxexemption.com. And hopefully we can aid you in the areas of e-commerce consultancy. And we'd love to meet you. We'd love to talk to you. If it's either of those companies, it would just be a pleasure to to be able to cross your path.
21st Century Entrepreneurship with Martin Piskarik.
Imagine a space where triumphs, trials, and tales of entrepreneurship come alive. Welcome to the 21st Century Entrepreneurship Podcast, a gold awarded journey hosted by Martin Piskarik, connecting with listeners in 95 countries and ranking in the top 0.5% of all podcasts. Join our exclusive community, elevate your perspective, and embark on the path to success.